Good evening, I'm Ces Oreña-Drilon.
I'm Pauline Verzosa.
And I'm Shawn Yao.
The big stories tonight. Members of the church and civil society groups file a string of complaints against Vice President Sara Duterte over her alleged misuse of confidential funds. The charges involve 612 million pesos in secret funds, including 125 million spent by the VP's office in only 11 days.
And it could just be a matter of time before the Interpol gets involved in locating and possibly arresting Zaldico. The NBI has requested a red notice on the resigned congressman now on the run.
And the Interior Department says they already know where Senator Bato de la Rosa is and that they are steps ahead in tracking down the lawmaker said to be the subject of an ICC arrest warrant.
Hindi dapat magtago ang isang taong gumamit ng confidential funds sa confidential nature.
Yung confidential fund, hindi po ito kitty fund ng mga politiko. May malinaw pong objective, purpose kung paano ito gagamitin.
Questions on her spending of taxpayers' money have come back to haunt Vice President Sara Duterte. Before the Office of the Ombudsman, a group of civil society leaders, priests, and human rights advocates filed multiple criminal complaints against the VP over alleged misuse and cancellation of 612.5 million pesos in confidential funds. The charges include plunder, bribery, malversation, violation of the Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act, culpable violation of the Constitution, and betrayal of public trust. 15 officials of the Office of the Vice President and the Department of Education plus military officials were also named respondents. These include former OVP Chief of Staff Zuleika Lopez, former OVP spokesman Michael Wesley Poa, and former Vice President Security Detail Commander Colonel Raymond Dante La Chica. Duterte used to simultaneously have the OVP and DepEd a couple of years ago. The complaint alleges that the respondents, with the Vice President as principal, engaged in a coordinated and deliberate system to divert, mishandle, and conceal confidential funds across the OVP and DepEd. This was done through irregular transactions and unsupported disbursement vouchers. The funds were also coursed through unauthorized armed forces officers close to Duterte. The complaint also cited vouchers and acknowledgement receipts bearing fictitious names such as Mary Grace Piatos, Nova, Owishi, and multiple versions of Dodong.
She has continuously undermined the very essence of what public service is all about. Her indiscriminate misuse of public funds without fear of accountability is outright criminal and a perfect example of the betrayal of public trust. Very evasive sila to begin with. And COA itself has already determined that there were misuse.
Kasi dyan mo makikita yung flow of money. Yan ang mag-establish ng kaso ng plunder. Paano siya nakikinabang sa mga pondo na dumaloy sa bank account si VP Sara. So magandang magkaroon ng disclosure mula sa Anti-Money Laundering Council patungo sa Ombudsman.
Well, the Office of the Vice President has yet to comment on the complaint, but the Duterte-allied PDP Laban is reacting to the charges against the Vice President. The political party's deputy spokesman, Attorney Ferdinand Topacio, said the party views the complaint with both alarm and amusement. He also called a string of charges as the latest harebrained political stunt of certain sectors. Topacio reiterated that the allegations are rehashed and recycled fabrications that have been debunked time and again. The latest of which is, and we quote, the recent Commission on Audit report giving the OVP the highest audit rating and giving the Vice President a clean bill of health as far as accountability is concerned. End of quote. Also at the Office of the Ombudsman today was a group of priests and lawyers from Surigao del Sur. They filed graft and plunder complaints against their province's 1st District Representative, Romeo Momo Sr. Clerics from the Diocese of Tandag and local lawyers accused Momo of bagging 1.4 billion pesos of government projects for Surigao La Suerte Corporation. Momo was a former director of the firm. According to records from the Securities and Exchange Commission, or SEC, Surigao La Suerte's corporate officers are all the lawmakers' relatives.
That there is a problem because conflict of interest. According to the Constitution, bawal directly or indirectly na magkaroon ng pecuniary, yet you still allowed. May bidding, pero anong nangyari sa bidding? Ba't niyo inallow ang family corporation ng isang congressman na magkaroon ng ganitong bilyon na awards?
Momo is on his second term as congressman in the district once represented by former senatorial candidate Prospero Pichay. Momo is also chairman of the House Committee on Public Works and co-chair of the House Infrastructure Committee. He is also part of the House contingent for the Bicam Committee of the 2026 budget, which begins tomorrow, December 13. Complainants are now urging President Bongbong Marcos and House Speaker Boji D not to allow Momo to sit in the bicameral proceedings.
Can you just imagine, billions ang nakuha kong ebidensya, pero member siya ng Bicam. Mahal na Pangulo, ikaw po ang unang nagsiwalat nito. Sana po bigyan niyo naman ng justisya ang mga Pilipino. Kay Speaker D, ba't niyo po sinali yan? Ito na po, meron kaming mga ebidensya. Sana naman po makinig kayo sa amin. Please, Pangulong BBM, please po, kahit hindi na mahiya, makonsensya na lang.
Meantime, Representative Momo, for his part, has denied the charges against him. In a statement, he said he had long divested from Surigao La Suerte Corporation. He also added that the company is not conducting public business in his district, and he called the complaint against him politically motivated.
In other news, President Bongbong Marcos delivered what sounded like a dressing down when he inspected the newly retrofitted San Juanico Bridge in Tacloban. He schooled local officials on why the iconic bridge had to be partially closed for months, with load restrictions proving necessary. Mobile journalist Julie Baiza with the report.
It was like a sermon at San Juanico. Local officials from Tacloban got an earful from President Marcos as he led the reopening to two-way traffic of the iconic bridge.
I hope that this serves as a lesson to all future administrators in government, of all government workers who have anything to do with this. The retrofit cost us 1.1 billion pesos. That is money that we could have saved if proper maintenance was carried out on San Juanico. We would not have to do any of this kung yung every 3 years ini-inspeksyon, inaayos, kung saan napunta, kaya hindi na nag-inspeksyon, kaya tayo nagkaganto.
Since May of this year, a 3-ton limit was imposed on the formerly longest bridge in the country. It was discovered that San Juanico Bridge's foundation had deteriorated a little over 50 years since it was built. The weight limit restriction severely impacted summer and later businesses, which relied heavily on the 2.16-kilometer bridge for transport. Their only alternative, since San Juanico partially closed, roll-on roll-off or RORO vessels, which greatly increased cost. Finally, on Wednesday, December 10, after months of retrofitting works, DPWH Region 8 did a dry run to check if the bridge could withstand heavier load. It passed the test. By Friday, December 12, the load limit on San Juanico Bridge was increased to 15 tons.
Makakatawid na yung mga cargo truck natin na dati hindi nakatawid, kailangan pa mag-roro at umikot sa mga ibang port na ginawa natin. Ngayon ay mababawasan na yun, yung malalaki na lang ang kailangan pa sumakay sa barko.
The local government is also mulling a one-way traffic scheme on the bridge during evenings. This way, heavier vehicles typically used in supply and deliveries of products could pass through more quickly. The president was in a breezier mood days earlier. In the latest edition of his podcast, Marcos was asked about his Christmas wish.
I don't know how specific you want to get, but that for Christmas that the legislature will provide us a good budget.
The chief executive had earlier threatened to veto the 2026 spending bill at the sign of unnecessary or excessive congressional insertions in it. But now that a reenacted budget could be a thing of the past, Marcos is feeling more festive. Like any Filipino, the president is just looking forward to a peaceful holiday season.
Intangible, more time with my family. You know, in this job, you cannot hang, you can't chill.
Yes.
There's wala na yun. So, of course, we used to enjoy that very much, especially when we were living in Ilocos.
Kapatid Mobile Journal Julie Baiza, We Are One News.
It's been over a month since Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa was last seen attending Senate sessions or spotted in public for that matter. De la Rosa has made himself scarce following the announcement of Ombudsman Boying Remulla that the International Criminal Court has issued an arrest warrant against a lawmaker. De la Rosa has been implicated in the Crimes Against Humanity case former President Rodrigo Duterte is now facing in The Hague, Netherlands. De la Rosa was the first chief of the Philippine National Police during the Duterte administration, but it seems the Department of Interior and Local Government has had its sights on Bato all along. Early this week, DILG Secretary John Vic Remulla said they know where the senator is and where he's been and who he visits. The agency, however, maintains that there is still no warrant of arrest for De La Rosa.
Local authorities have started tracking the whereabouts of Senator De La Rosa. Sa mga bahay-bahay lang naman, I think he's been visiting friends, but he's also been moving around in different vehicles. So we're just trying to keep tabs on him. We don't want to speculate as to what his purpose is in these moves. We don't know, but on our part, we just want to make sure that we know where he is. Again, in light of reports that an ICC warrant is forthcoming.
Senator De La Rosa's lawyer, Attorney Israelito Torreon, has expressed alarm over this development, and he joins us tonight to discuss this. Good evening, Attorney Torreon.
Hello, good evening. Good evening, ladies. Good evening, everyone.
Kailan po ninyo last nakita si Senator De La Rosa?
Well, I think last November 7 or so, yun po ang last ko nakita po si Senator De La Rosa. We were having a telephone conversation, ata kami, video call.
But do you know his whereabouts? Does he
No, I do
disclose?
not know his whereabouts po. I do not know.
So ito pong sinabi ng DILG that they know where he is and they are tracking his movements. Ano po ang masasabi ninyo dito?
Well, it shows that they love him very much because they want to know where he is. But I am just concerned because if it is true that there is no warrant of arrest against him, and besides, even if there is a warrant of arrest against him, we do not have the necessary legal, we do not have the necessary law as to how to properly deliver him to the Netherlands, then that is a cause for concern.
But being a lawmaker, should he not just face the music? Because this is what he said before. He said, bring it on. Hindi po ba?
That should be placed in context because as you understand, I have already explained at length in many interviews, we are the only country out of all the members of the ICC which do not have any implementing rules, which do not have any implementing legislation as to how to effectuate surrender. Hindi naman po pwede na dakpin lamang siya na parang manok at dalahin doon sa Hague, Netherlands. Kailangan po mabigyan po siya ng due process, yung right po niya ma-define definitely in a local law because the provisions on surrender have to be transformed or via a local law. Atat pala tayo siya na i-surrender, dapat ginawa na natin ang batas noong una pa.
So, as a remedy, have you petitioned the courts for clarification? Have you done, ano pong mga legal avenues na open?
It's all pending Yeah, it's all pending in the Supreme Court. That's one of the issues that we raised in the Supreme Court in the petition for certiorari, which we filed for President Rodrigo Roa Duterte and the good Senator Bato de la Rosa.
Pero silent pa rin ang Supreme Court. Wala pa pong desisyon.
As of now, wala pa po. We are hoping that the Supreme Court will issue a ruling so that we can be properly guided as to what to do on the matter also.
Balikan ko lang yung first question ni Ces, Attorney Torreon. You said you last saw him via video call on November 7, but when was the last time you spoke to him or exchanged any correspondence, text messages with him?
I could not recall. Parang last ata, November 7 or so, 6 pa yun or 7. Hindi ko na masyado maalala.
So because a few days ago, you were at the Senate, right? Kasi maraming nagtatanong ngayon anong magyayari because he's part of the Bicam, which is happening tomorrow, December 13. He has not actually written or anything. I know that his office is working, pero wala pa siyang pinuput forward na any word if he's going to participate, if he's going to back out of the Bicam, like Senator Jinggoy did. So would you know the status of that?
I do not know, ma'am. I'm sorry. I do not have any idea insofar as that is concerned. My apologies.
Okay.
But Attorney, how do we explain this long absence of Senator Bato de la Rosa from the Senate? The last time we spoke to you, sabi niyo po, Attorney, he's still gathering facts and making himself unavailable. To this day, ganun pa rin po ba ang ginagawa ni Senator? And do you maintain that he is not in hiding?
Yes. The first rule in our life, ma'am, is the right of self-preservation. When your safety is at stake, of course, you have to preserve yourself. And you have to be sure as to what would be your remedies if your safety is at stake. So, yan po. Alam naman natin na meron na kasing nangyari. Si Tatay Digong ay kinidnap po, dinala illegally na hindi idinaan dito sa ating mga korte. Yung experience na yun ay siguro nasa isip po ni Senator Bato de la Rosa at pinapag-umahinhin po namin sa ating mga mamamayan na he has to think of his safety first. Kaya nga po nangyayari po ito. Kung klinaro lang sana ng gobyerno kung anong magiging hakbang, ano ba ang kanyang mga rights po under a certain law if he will be surrendered, baka hindi po ito nangyari ngayon.
But I recall that another option that he had was to seek sanctuary in the Senate.
If he will do that, we know parang hindi siya covered ng sufficiently legally covered if he will do that.
Should he not also welcome this as an opportunity to clear his name?
No, his name is, if there are questions concerning his role in the war on drugs, everyone is welcome to file cases against him in the local courts, in the local prosecution's office. You know, we have a healthy judicial system. Our prosecutor's office is very healthy. So they can file cases domestically. The only reason why we have this problem is that some quarters, political quarters at that, are insisting that the ICC still has jurisdiction in our in the Philippine situation, where we know that the ICC has no more jurisdiction. Kung may kaso po kayo laban kay Senator Bato de la Rosa, i-file nyo dito at sasagutin po namin.
Well, Attorney, if the last time you spoke to Senator Bato was way back November 7, it's been more than a month already. Who are you in touch with po from the camp of Senator Bato? Are you also in touch with his wife and his family members?
Yes. I am always in touch with the wife, Ma'am Nancy, and his children po. Nakakausap ko po sila.
Okay, Attorney, let's talk a hypothetical here. Right now, the DOJ says it's premature to discuss the arrest since wala pa rin silang nakikitang official warrant. And we've only heard that from Ombudsman Boying Remulla, right? But what if lumabas
And
na yung
also
warrant?
the ALG secretary.
Correct,
And
the
also
brother.
the ALG secretary, sabi niya, yes.
Yes, he said he's seen it on his brother, the ombudsman's phone. So it's only the two of them. But what if lumabas na talaga yung warrant and wala pa ring decision from the Supreme Court and nawawala pa rin po, no, or unavailable pa rin si Senator Bato de la Rosa? What are your legal moves going to be if that comes to pass?
Lahat naman ng mga abogado, alam na alam ko anong magiging legal move ko kung meron na talagang warrant of arrest. Mag-file ako ng manifestation at ipaalam ko sa Supreme Court, Your Honors, there is now a warrant of arrest against my client. So therefore, our prayer for temporary restraining order is no longer speculative. So there is clear and urgent necessity on your part to act so that the issues in the certiorari petition that we filed would not become moot and academic.
And what if, and what if di lumabas no, yung reply ng Supreme Court in time, just like what happened to the former President Duterte? You guys filed a lot on the night, pero they didn't, with urgency, release anything.
Sana naman, ako hopeful pa rin ako na hindi na sana mangyari yun and Supreme Court would act on that. I am a lawyer, I respect the Supreme Court, and I do hope and pray that this time around it will give us the necessary legal remedy so that the rights of my client would be protected.
So, well, we're getting mixed messages from Senator Bato because we recall what he had said before that sasamahan niya si dating Pangulong Duterte, aalagaan niya, etc. And then now he's, he can't be found. Which is which?
Ang pinaka-mixed message, ma'am, itong sa gobyerno natin. Si Ombudsman Rimulya, sabi, merong warrant of arrest. Si DILG Secretary, sabi, nakita din niya. Pero yung DOJ, sabi, wala. Yung DFA, sabi, wala. Tapos, ang Executive Secretary natin noon, nagsabi na pwede siya maka-avail ng extradition proceeding. Pero yung yung ibang authorities naman, majority of them, ay dapat i-surrender na siya kaagad. Yan ang pinaka-mix po. We should place in context the declaration of Senator Bato de la Rosa during that time. He was referring to the fact that if the surrender process would be clarified, if there are laws on the matter, just like in Germany, in Austria, in Canada, in Albania, 50 other countries have clear laws on surrender. Wala tayo hindi natin pinaghandaan. Huwag niyo sisihin po si Senator De La Rosa. Ang gobyerno ang tanungin po natin. Ang messages nila sabog po. Very sorry.
Well, Attorney, if we can also ask for your reaction on the complaints filed today against Vice President Sara Duterte, including plunder charges. I know PDP Laban has already released a statement calling it a harebrained political stunt. But your reaction, Attorney?
Well, ang sa akin lang dyan, perhaps as lawyer of PDP Laban na lang muna, I agree with PDP Laban. I will take the stand of PDP Laban. And napaka-unique yan na kaso kasi. Bakit ipa-file niya na kaso? Kasi lahat yan ay ang jurisdiction niya ay Commission on Audit. Pinangunahan pa nila yung Commission on Audit. Wala nga sinabi ang Commission on Audit na illegal na ginawa si Vice President Sara Duterte. Sila atat na atat, nag-file na naman ng kaso. Gaya ng nasabi ko dun sa interview ni Ma'am Corina, baka kinakailangan maligo muna sila kaya para makuha-kuhaan yung init ng ulo nila kay Vice President Sara Duterte.
Ligo lang po ba?
Kailangan siguro, grabe talaga galit sila kayo, hindi ko maintindihan masyadong, yung hatred na ata, hindi ko maintindihan na wala namang finding yung COA. So kinakailangan siguro mga 3 paligo siguro para mag-relax sila. Para hindi na masyadong mainit ang ulo nila kay VP Sara.
Panghuli na lang po kasi, Attorney, sinabi niyo na we must take the statements of Senator Bato in context and ang magulo ang gobyerno. Hindi kaya nasa saywar lang kayo at kaya ito yung nangyayari, nagtatago si Senator, wala pa namang arrest warrant. So it kind of
Hindi.
makes
Hindi,
makes him look silly, or I mean, why is he in hiding? There's none. If there's no arrest warrant.
Ganito kasi, parang saywar on the part of the government.
Exactly.
Kasi kailangan siguro takutin si Senator De La Rosa para kung mag-file na ng impeachment against kay BP Sara, magliit-liit na yung magsuporta kay BP Sara doon sa Senado. Pero ang inaalala din siguro ni Senator Bato, what is true? What if it is true? Ayaw naman niya na mangyari sa kanya yung ginawa kay Tatay Digong, no? Kasama kami ni Tatay Digong nun sa Hong Kong eh. May mga nagsabi kay Tatay na, Tatay, meron kaming balita na parang meron ng warrant sa iyo. Sabi naman niya, under Article 59 na I am entitled to be brought to the competent judicial authority. Hindi ginawa eh. So, yun ang ayaw siguro ni Senator Bato. Baka hindi siya dalahin sa competent judicial authority at para na lang siyang manok at dalahin doon sa Hague, Netherlands without passing through our court. So, ganyan po ang sitwasyon po natin ngayon.
Sana the next time po we can talk to the good senator himself. Kahit sa telepono lang. Pakiabot na lang. Pakiabot na lang po ang aming mensahe.
I have no way of doing that. Siguro mag-post ako. Sir, nami-miss ka na po ni Ma'am Ces Drilon at saka mga kasama niya. Baka ma-interview ka daw nila. Oo.
Sige,
baka mabasa ko niya po, ma'am.
Marami pong salamat, Attorney Israelito
Salamat.
Torion, Legal Counsel of Senator Bato de la Rosa.
Okay, we're just going to take a quick break, but coming up, the NBI says it has found documents from the condo of former Congressman Zaldico that could prove crucial to the flood control scandal probe. The details when the big story returns. Keep it here on One News.
The big story is back with the National Bureau of Investigation saying it has found some important documents from a property of Zaldico. The NBI discovered the so-called evidence last night during a search warrant operation at the former congressman's condominium unit in Taguig. The documents were inside 3 vaults. The Bureau refused to further divulge what exactly they got from the search.
Siguro around 10,000 pesos lang ito. All of these documents and yung cash at saka lahat ng nakuha were written in an inventory sheet which was also furnished the lawyers of the respondent.
Meanwhile, the NBI is now awaiting Interpol's approval for a red notice on Co. The Bureau applied for this on November 23, a few weeks before Co's passport was canceled. An Interpol red notice is not an international arrest warrant. It is a request to law enforcement agencies in Interpol member countries to locate a person facing charges or arrest in his home country. While Interpol can hold a person on red notice, it can only keep a suspect pending surrender, extradition, or similar legal action. Still, the NBI insists that Zaldico can be arrested anytime for violation of immigration laws, since without a passport, he is considered an undocumented alien.
Well, we've been doing constant monitorings, and the last time we checked this morning, nalaman namin it's still being evaluated by the Interpol's Notices Diffusion Task Force. The request is being evaluated in terms of its form and substance.
And with the bicameral conference committee for the 2026 budget kicking off tomorrow, some are asking why Senator Bato de la Rosa, who has been absent for over a month now, is still part of the proceedings. Finance Committee Chair Senator Win Gatchalian maintains that De La Rosa will stay on as a member of the Senate contingent by virtue of his position in the panel.
By tradition, since 2018, yung mga vice chairman automatic nagiging conferee. No? Dahil ang dahilan doon, mas kabisado nila yung kanilang ahensya. No? So ako, I will rely on the vice chair para tulungan ako depensahan si Senator Bato. Hindi naman siya nag-resign bilang Vice Chair. At wala rin, to be honest, hindi kami nag-uusap, so wala naman siya rin any feedback kung ayaw niya maging con-free.
Dela Rosa has been absent from Senate sessions and hearings since November 11. He was unable to defend the budget of the Department of National Defense, leaving that job to Gatchalian. Attorney Israelito Torreon said Dela Rosa is hiding for fear of his life amid reports that the International Criminal Court has already issued an arrest warrant against him. Meanwhile, Senator Gatchalian assures the public that there will be no secret dealings in the Bicam. The senator hopes no insertions will be quietly included in the budget this time around. The Senate, according to Gatchalian, will only focus on disagreeing provisions and nothing more.
Walang secret Bicam. Doon pag-uusapan sa Bicam. But of course, kami nagpre-prepare kami on our side kasi maraming dokumento, no? So we have to prepare early and we have to make sure na madetalye yung preparation, no? So marami talagang preparation na kailangan.
In other news, Pasig City Mayor Vico Sotto urged Filipinos to stop normalizing corruption in their daily lives. In his speech at the Asian Development Bank's Anti-Corruption Day, ADB President Masato Kanda said Sotto's work in Pasig is a, quote, blueprint for what is possible in the Philippines. Mobile Journal Amy Atienza has that story.
Pasig City Mayor Vico Sotto was the keynote speaker and guest of honor at the Asian Development Bank's International Anti-Corruption Day celebration on December 12. Sotto, one of the co-conveners of the group Mayors for Good Governance, called on Filipinos to stop normalizing corruption in their daily lives.
We need to fight the acceptance and the normalization of corruption in our society, in our culture. There is not going to be an easy way. There are going to be no silver bullets. Corruption has been deeply ingrained in our culture and our institutions. SOP, the very term implies that it's automatic. It has been institutionalized. When there's a project, soft or hard, it's automatic.
Sotto was also asked if he would apply the same clean governance principles should he one day be elected president. He refused to speculate on the politics of it, but pointed out that integrity transcends positions.
I'm not going to answer your question, but I think, we talk about integrity. Integrity is from the root word being whole. So if you have integrity, no matter where you are, you probably do the same thing and make similar decisions.
During the panel, other speakers pointed out that corruption also exists in many other parts of the world, not just the Philippines. The good news, they say, is that there are many tools now available to ensure transparency in government procurement.
I live in the UK, I live in London. We have it there too. It's maybe just a little bit better hidden, but it's there. And the good news is, we've been doing a lot of work with the Open Contract Partnership that can help you to change some of those embedded practices and embedded cultures. I think cultural change, behavioral change is always really hard. But the good news is, as I said before, we've got some tools that can help you with this. So the first thing that we start with is open data.
Sotto also highlighted some of the steps he's taken to stamp out sexual harassment and gender-based misconduct in his city.
We've actually removed several local government employees because of offenses with regard to asking for sexual favors and things of that nature. We have our CODI is functioning. We do take it very seriously. We also do capacity building in terms of even our gender awareness and development programs. So every government employee has to go through all of these trainings, gender sensitivity training.
In his keynote, ADB President Masato Kanda called for a stronger global action against corruption and hailed Sotto's leadership as a model for clean governance.
You work in Pasig City, the blueprint for what is possible. You have shown that when you remove the hidden cost of corruption, you unlock the visible benefits. development, better healthcare, stronger education, more effective public services.
In the end, Sotto says it boils down to every Filipino doing the right thing every day, even if it's hard.
What you expect also of us, in a way, shapes our behavior as well, at least to some extent. Right? So whether or not it may be the case, expect us to act with integrity, expect us to be professional, even the little things.
Kapatid Amy Atienza, we are One News.
Right now, on to sports. Over in Thailand, Filipino athletes continue to shine in the 2025 Southeast Asian Games. And giving us an update is One Sports correspondent Carlo Pamintuan. Well, Carlo, another day. It's another good day to get gold medals for Team Philippines. Tell us who are the latest winners.
Hi, Pauline. After waiting for a breakthrough, we finally got it. 5 gold medals in a quick span, courtesy of the men's baseball team of Taekwondo, Tatiana Mangin, gymnastic athlete Ivan Cruz, John Cabang Tolentino of athletics, and Kayla Sanchez all won gold medals today. But you know what? Who keeps getting on snags in their preparations? It is Gilas Pilipinas, because after failing to get a medal in the 3x3 events of the 33rd Southeast Asian Games, our basketball players in 5-on-5 are eager to get their games going, but they keep on hitting brick walls. Upon landing, a bus of Gilas Pilipinas man had an engine failure en route to their hotel. They were stuck on the road for a while until a replacement bus was located to come and pick them up. The next day, which was earlier today, on their way to practice, it was the bus of Gilas Pilipinas women that also conked out. Both teams just smiled off these misfortunes as they focus on the task at hand. The women will see action first as they play tomorrow at 10 a.m. against Malaysia, while the men will play on the 14th at 12:30 p.m. also against Malaysia. Meanwhile, in the sport of boxing, 2 Filipino fighters fell today against their Thai counterparts as Paris Olympian Hergy Bacyadan and Jun Milardo Ogaire both lost via decision. Bacyadan will settle for a bronze medal, while Ogaire will miss the podium completely in his SEA Games debut. Good thing was that Mark Ashley Pajardo was able to bounce back for Team Philippines to guarantee the country their 9th medal in the sport of boxing. So it is a good sign that they keep on getting into the podium matches. Hopefully, many of these will be gold medals to add on to the ones that we have secured today. It was a great day for the Philippines. We came into this third day of competitions with 5 golds. We double up courtesy of our tremendous athletes. We're hoping for more in the coming days, and we're excited to see our former Olympians, Nesty Petesio and even Heidelin Diaz, in their own competitions in the next couple of days. Pauline.
Hopefully we don't encounter any more mishaps, but thank you very much for that very comprehensive report. That was One Sports correspondent Carlo Pamintuan reporting live from Thailand.
And we are pausing for another breather, but right after that, we sit down with Chef Josh Boutwood and his 2-star Michelin-starred Helm, the first restaurant in the Philippines to ever get that recognition. Don't miss that conversation. Keep it here on One News.
With that, our miracle liwanag po.
Welcome back to The Big Story. Looking for an unforgettable dining experience this holiday season? Well, what about Helm? If you can get a seat, that's the only restaurant in the Philippines with 2 Michelin stars. Helm by Chef Josh Boutwood brings in a menu reflective of his Filipino and British roots and Spanish influences. Its current monochromatic series is an interpretation of color with food. For its themed seasonal set menus, bold flavors, intricate presentations and warm experience, Helm received 2 stars from the prestigious Michelin Guide. Quite a journey indeed for a restaurant that opened in 2018 at the Bonifacio Global City before moving to the heart of Makati. A roller coaster of a journey as well for Helm's chef, a champion of the interactive form of culinary performance art. And what do you know? We have him with us tonight. He braved the Friday traffic for us. Thank you for coming to the show, John.
Absolute pleasure, everyone. Thank you for having me.
So, has the dust finally settled?
It has. It has. Well, from the moment of the recognition, we went straight back to work. So we haven't had much time to process everything. But now, with the month and a half that has gone by, we've been able to really. It's sunk in, and now it becomes a little bit more serious now.
And so, the pressure is mounting, I suppose.
The pressure is intense. I think that's the hardest thing for us. Expectations are very high. We also, we want to make sure that everyone that comes into the restaurant really has the very best experience they can possibly get. So yeah.
So you said Helm is booked till March next year, full bookings.
It is.
Mostly locals, or are there people who really come to the Philippines just to try your food?
Since Michelin coming into the Philippines, we've seen a lot more international travelers on our reservation system, which is great. I mean, a wonderful way for us to gain additional tourism. That's the whole new gastronomy tourism that's coming in. But obviously, our main focus is the local communities to make sure that we can really bring in something special for them and create memories that they'll remember for many, many years.
Did you know who it was who came to your restaurant?
I've been asked this so many times, and I've had enough time now to think about it.
Okay.
And I do suspect that we had about 5 different inspectors throughout the year that came to visit the restaurant.
Because consistency is the key. They don't
that's
just
the
go.
one. It's not once. It's multiple visits. And yeah, I think I know who they are, but I'll never see them again. They will never visit the restaurant. It's always going to be new inspectors. So.
Like
I'm just texting every single restaurant around the world. This is the guy, this is the girl.
But at the time, Chef, you didn't know that they were inspectors.
We knew, obviously, Michelin was coming into the industry, into the Philippines, and we had our eyes open. Different signs, there were a few signals that gave us, oh, maybe we should be a little bit more careful with these ones. And but obviously, at the end of the day, there was no way of knowing if they were. They don't announce themselves. They don't say who they are. They pay their meal as any other guest would do, and they leave, and then we're left wondering, could it have been? We'd never know.
But is the fact that there could be a mystery diner in there from Michelin, did that keep all the staff on their toes?
It does, but at the end of the day, we also want to make sure that we don't do anything different, just for the suspecting inspector. Our main goal is to make sure every single guest that comes into our restaurant has the most
naman kaming
perfect.
hindi Michelin inspector, di ba? Do we get
when you come into the restaurant, you're treated the best as we can possibly do. But every guest is important to us, and they say every guest is a VIP, and that's our mantra. That's the way we think, and there's no changes to whoever it is. And it just so happens that it fell well with the Michelin, how we do our things in the restaurant. And we have those 2 stars to show for it, and we'll continue doing it.
What do you say to this really lifted the nation amid the gloom of you just
I've been listening.
while
I have. I was very worried because I was going to come up on here quite depressed after listening to the news. So I'm happy that you've cheered me up already. So I was very, very worried about that.
But there are those who feel, why are we seeking global affirmation? Why are we seeking a Western approval of what we already know is good?
It is. So I have this stance on this where we already know our culture and our food is great. We've grown up with it for many years. The thing is, with Michelin, we are benchmarked against restaurants worldwide. And it puts Philippines on a map as a destination globally where visitors can enjoy great food that is at the same level, on par, as other international destinations where Michelin is featured. And I feel like it's elevated our dining scene really well. And we have to also remember, I've been doing this for almost more than a decade, we haven't had any of these certain, how would I say, classifications, standards or standardization, or where we are. So as an industry as a whole, I speak as a whole, we've pushed our boundaries as much as possible, which has gotten us to this level. And now that we are getting recognized on this international level, it's not about not saying that we don't recognize our food as great. It's about benchmarking us against other international countries.
Well, I haven't actually had a meal in Helm since before the pandemic. You were still in BGC, and I still remember the menu that I ate. It was Jack and the Beanstalk.
Yes, the fairy tale menu.
Yes.
Yes.
It was quite imaginative.
Yep.
Has Helm in 2025 changed that much from pre-pandemic days?
From when you last ate there, which was in BGC, we have changed considerably. I wouldn't say we've changed completely. We've evolved ourselves. We wanted a space which was much larger. I felt the walls in the original place getting a little bit smaller on me. So we were able to build a new restaurant that was larger, more space, more equipment, more team members, and we were able to do a lot more from a technical point of view, but also from an experience as well. You know, the lighting has changed. All aspects of the dining experience has been evolved and improved.
Do you still keep up with changing the menus every so
Every
often?
4 months.
Yeah.
Every 4 months.
You are also a performer, you know, Josh.
I would. Some people say that. Yeah.
What do you mean? You are.
Well, I'm not going to dance on air right now.
No.
Like, don't make me do that.
No, what I mean is when you present a dish,
Yeah.
you have this flair about talking about the process, etc.
So food in general, or my industry, it's been going on for millennia, where we are giving sustenance and receiving money in return. What makes our restaurant different is that we want to create this experience, this whole show, if you want, a performance, where guests will really feel connected to what we do. Because it's not just about food, it's about everything else. It's about how we portray the story of the menu, it's about how we explain the dishes. And it's also about, just really focusing on them as a guest.
And how it's difficult to, because it's so mixed, you use international ingredients, etc., the presentation. The Filipino is, if people ask, where is the Filipino in this?
We prioritize local ingredients as much as possible. But I'm looking at the screen over there and I can see the weather. The weather systems in the Philippines are very temperamental, so consistency of ingredients is very challenging. For me, I want to make sure that we give the best that we possibly can do, and we can only give great food with amazing ingredients. So I do source from outside.
How many percent are grown in the Philippines?
73% based on our last
wow,
count.
73.
73. To the percentage.
Well, this might be a bit deep, but do you feel that this is helping also the farmers?
Yes, completely. It trickles down.
And without them, we wouldn't have we wouldn't have been able to impress Michelin as well.
No, everything starts from the ingredients. So yeah, from the farmers, from the fishermen, from the animal producers, they have given us great ingredients to work with that then showcases what we do.
Cite examples. Saan maganda ang mga, I don't know, where the local, where are you surprised and impressed by? Farms or which one?
All of that, like especially the farms around Silang Cavite and things like that. There are phenomenal growing possibilities there with the soil. The volcanic soil there has produced amazing produce for us. We are looking at going down south into Mindanao to go and work with a farm to actually have a lot just specifically for Helm to grow particular ingredients for us. So that's a project for next year, and also in Silang as well.
Well, Chef, here's one quote you said that I really liked. You said that one of your greatest secrets to your success is surrounding yourself with the right people and people who share your vision.
Yes.
Tell us about your philosophy in the kitchen and how do you identify the right people to surround yourself with?
We hire not for skill, and I think that's our number one rule. We hire for personality, because we can train skill. Skills is something that can be learnt, but personality is something that is inside you. It's in your soul. And I would much rather work with people that had phenomenal personality, good communication, team skills, and all of that. And even if they don't know how to handle a knife, I would rather teach them how to hold a knife and cut than to find somebody that doesn't have a sense of humor.
Wow,
or get my jokes, you know?
Really?
Yes.
You have the time for that?
The biggest investment that we make in our restaurants, and I say in all of my restaurants, is training. Yes.
I suppose you wouldn't be sitting with us here tonight, because it's dinner time, if you don't have the best people that you trust.
I am sitting here and I know for a fact that my restaurants are getting run so smoothly because my managers, my team members, they all have the same mentality as me. The end goal is the same, to create wonderful experiences, and they know how to execute it, whether I'm there or I'm not.
Do they get to give input?
For
to,
sure.
Like the dishes?
I need that.
Your sous chefs?
Yes, for sure. There will be constantly back and forth, and a lot of my sous chefs are actually in their positions because they can argue with me.
Oh.
So
you welcome that?
I do.
Being challenged.
Because I don't want everyone to just follow what I say. There has to be a point of, Chef, I don't agree we do it like this. What if we tried it like that? And then that suddenly makes me think, wait a minute, I didn't think about it like that. And then there's this conversation
It's
that
a
will happen.
collaboration.
It is always. Life is with everything.
Yeah. I wanted to ask how do you marry? Because you handle all of the restaurants of the bistro group, right?
Yes.
And then you have this fine dining.
Yes.
Isn't that confusing?
Again, that goes back to having amazing team members. It is slightly confusing because, you know, us as a group, we are very much sophisticated casual dining. We are in, you know,
You have the
throughout the
chains,
nation.
you know, yeah.
Exactly. But also it creates this wonderful balance for me where I have a mind that is very structured, where everything has to really kind of pertain within a box. And then I have my creative outlet, which is my restaurants, where I can be as free-flowing as possible. So it does create this very good balance within my head.
You're able to marry both? You're able to...
No, I section them off. So depending on the day, that's the mind that I'll take with me.
Oh, really?
Yes. And I can switch it throughout the day.
So you're very
biglang sa Italianis,
Yeah.
ano na?
Yeah.
May flourish na, no? You can't do that.
Not really, no.
Yeah. So I just actually ate in a new bistro group restaurant yesterday called Siklab, Filipino food, and they do a flash mob. Like every hour.
Something like that,
I
yes.
caught 3 dances, so we were there.
You were there for 3 hours?
I think so, yeah,
You.
unfortunately.
Yes.
The food was
Well,
really
this is
good.
actually one of our most
Was that your
surprising concepts.
concept?
So it's a concept that we had many, many years ago.
Is this with Charles?
No. This is the Bistro Group, and it was a concept that we had many years ago, and we only just recently revived it. And we closed it during the pandemic or just before, and it's something that has taken the market by storm because it's really good. It's phenomenal Filipino food, and it's regional Filipino. And price point is amazing.
Yes.
You know, so it's we have one in
Shangri-La.
Shangri-La. Yes.
There we can get a
Just
reservation.
across the
Then
road.
makakapasok
tayo.
And good because you're not, I mean, this is a local concept.
It is
You're
a
not
homegrown concept
bringing
by us.
in,
Yes.
you know, foreign chain.
I mean, we as a group still do. But obviously, at the moment, you know, creating concepts from scratch is also a wonderful way of doing things. And what better way to showcase Filipino food than creating our own brand that really does create really great food at great prices. And now it's slowly opening up in more locations, so you get more opportunities to try it.
Well, Chef, you're known for really pushing boundaries. Tell us what's in store for Helm. What excites you most right now in the culinary world?
What excites me the most is having a vacation next year, to be honest with you. But I find that...
You deserve it. Where are you going?
I have no idea yet. Suggestions I'll take later. But I think as an industry as a whole, we're so on, you know, so hyped, so excited. We're almost renewed with energy, even though I appear very tired. But the excitement of cooking has come back. And I also find that with our guests and that are coming into the restaurants, we see this renewed energy about dining out again, which is wonderful.
Right.
Sometimes dining out can be quite tedious and you know...
Did you feel that, because you're one of the first that did the tasting menu.
Yes.
Did you feel that the market would not take to it? Was there a point when you wanted to give up? Because I'm sure there were times when
So when I opened
there
my
were no
first
people.
restaurant in Boracay in 2010, that was when I first did my first tasting menu.
Oh,
And-
really?
Yeah.
How old were you?
I was 22. Yeah.
What was it called?
Alchemy, Restaurant Alchemy. Right on the beach. Very small. I'm from Boracay.
Near Discovery.
No, further down. Station 2, so next, very close
Wala
to
pang
Starbucks.
Discovery noon.
Meron.
Meron na? Ganun ba?
Okay.
So as soon as we moved back to the Philippines, I went straight back to Boracay and opened the restaurant. And we did a tasting menu there. And at one point I thought, maybe I'm too soon.
Yeah.
You know, only in Europe it was starting to get exciting at that point in 2010. But then I thought to myself, no, let's be persistent. And when I came to Manila, I had almost like a stop of fine dining. And when I joined the Bistro Group, it was very casual dining. And then we revived it back in 2016, and I've never looked back. And now I see international locations that say tasting menus are dead or died. For us, it hasn't. I think people still want that experience.
It's rather long, but it's...
It is, yeah.
But yeah, it stays with you.
It does, indeed.
Yeah. So, besides the vacation, opening another restaurant? No.
I don't want to publicly announce that live on air, but maybe, who knows? Who knows?
But you have too much on your hands already.
Why?
Don't you feel that?
I'll just create more teams to help. Yes.
All right. Well, let's have a parting shot from you.
Yes.
Yeah.
How so? How do we do this?
What
A parting shot?
Yeah. Like, just what do you want to leave with us? A takeaway.
A takeaway? Well, I feel like the industry is in a very exciting moment at the moment. And for those who have the opportunity to go out and try the restaurants that, not just my 2 stars, but the 1 stars, the selected, the bib gourmands and everything else that was included, it's a great opportunity
I really want to go to
Morning Star. I do too.
Have you been?
No.
Oh, what a shame.
Let's go.
Okay, it's a date.
We'll go together. But, you know, let's support the industry. Even though those restaurants that still don't have Michelins or Bib Gourmands or selected, there are some amazing restaurants in our city that should be tried and tested. And just, you know, enjoy, have fun, eat well, and be happy.
Thank you so much. We have the toast of the town with us. Thank you for sharing your story. That was Josh Boutwood, chef and owner of the 2-star Michelin starred Helm. Did I say that right?
Yes, you did.
Double stars.
All right, well, I'm so happy we're ending the week on a light note. That's it for the big story this week. Thank you so much for watching.
And we are back here on Monday at 7:30 p.m. We'll see you again.
Kapatid, we are One News, all sides, all the time. Have a great weekend.